Good morning, everybody. It's a little bit after 10 a.m. on May 5th. It's Cinco de Mayo. So, to those of you who are able to celebrate the day today, enjoy. Try not to overdo it. For anyone who has to wait till tomorrow, I do as well. So, I feel your pain, but waiting till tomorrow means that presumably we don't have too much to regret come the next day. Either way, enjoy if celebrations are coming. A word for everybody on what we're currently working on. This video is going to be more along the lines of announcements than the usual discussion of the writing and how it works, just because we've got a lot of resources for us to be able to use on Blackboard. If you haven't checked Blackboard lately, now's a good time to do it, just because there's a lot that's posted there and a lot of things that you could benefit from looking at as you go to write your first draft of your face of the field essay. Speaking of that first draft, it's going to be due this coming Sunday, May 8th at 11:59 p.m., the end of the day as usual. I will be turning those around to you in corrected form the following week. I don't anticipate there being any problems with that, just due to the relatively low number of people who are still submitting work in the course. But if any of those problems arise, I will let you know, and I'll make whatever arrangements are necessary so that you get the time that you need. Again, though, I don't think that's going to happen. Thinking about the final due date, that'll be a week after the draft due date, so that'll be the 15th, again, the end of the day. I wanted to just make a couple of reminders about things in relation to relevance and purpose of this essay. The purpose of the essay, the goal of the essay, is to tell the story of the field in its current form, but we'll be doing that by presenting a personal profile of the figure who is the most relevant and most prominent within the field right now. That means that we're going to have two parallel narratives or two parallel stories that we're telling there. We're going to be telling a story of the field through background that leads us to the current day, and we'll be telling the story of the figure, presumably through some background narrative of how that person got to where they are and doing what they're doing. What we have to make sure that we're constantly asking ourselves, though, as we go to include information and, after including it, make use of it, is whether or not it helps to explain the current moment. If that answer is an easy yes, we keep the information, we use it, and presumably it's going to work well. If the answer is anything but an easy yes, if that answer is anything we've got to think even a little bit about, that's a really good reason for us to stop and look carefully at the information we're considering adding. The addition and inclusion of irrelevant information for this paper in particular is an absolute poison pill. Um, the issue here is that if the reader for this assignment in specific can't always tell what the relevance of the information is that they're being presented with, you're looking at a reader who is first going to be confused and then bored as a defense mechanism. And as we've discussed elsewhere, a confused and bored reader is one who will very quickly disengage. We don't want that. It means a waste of time on the reader's part and on our part by virtue of having created a piece of writing that the reader didn't finish reading. And we don't want that. Keep this linear, keep it simple. We're telling two parallel narratives, and what that means is that narrative structure is absolutely the only thing we really need to be using here. Keep it linear, go from one event to the next to the next. There's no need to make this more complex than necessary, whether that has to do with content or structure. Either way, the simplicity of the story we tell will actually just add to how engaging it is. Circling back to some administrative details, dates, and other things that we want to be aware of. Um, there are two things that I recommend that you make sure you know about now. The first one is knowing your numbers. Presumably, if you're taking this class through Blackboard, you're probably taking other online courses. Maybe not, either way. You should know, though, that on Blackboard on the left-hand side in the pane that gives you access to all the different parts of Blackboard, that you've got access to something that says My Grades. The My Grades portion of Blackboard is what's going to give you the rundown of every single grade you've gotten, what that grade was in relation to the possible number of points you could have gotten, and finally, how all of those points total up to whatever your total is right now prior to the final writing assignment. Remember that to pass the course, you're looking at needing a total that's 600 or above. Now, this final paper isn't worth 400 points. As a result, to be able to pass with this final paper, You should be at least 600 right now. And if you're not, that's a reason to look at my grades and look at the history of grades, and ask yourself what's necessary to be able to pass. And if that's a situation you're in, you'll want to get in touch with me pretty quickly. After that, know your syllabus. The grading policies that are explained in the syllabus are straightforward. They're not hard to understand. I think they're going to make sense if you look at them, but make sure that you've looked at them. This is the other body of information that you want to know so that your final grade is predictable enough that it is no surprise when you get that grade. Speaking of getting that grade, it is my firm intention to walk in Monday, May 16th, grade these papers as they've been submitted in final form, and as soon as they're graded, submit final grades for the course. Because, of course, that's when all the necessary information's in, and there's nothing due after that moment. So that's my firm intention. Um, a final word on that, please take the necessary time to do the best job on this that you can. Put the necessary work in so that it reflects the best of your abilities. No one really wants to have to go back to this semester and deal with retroactive changes or arguing about what a grade should have been or other things that are related to those. um, let's do the best job possible on this. Let's get the best final grades we can, and let's finish the semester on a high note. It's been a weird spring. It's been difficult all around. I think that we're all looking forward to finishing the semester's work on going on break. We've just got this one last thing though, so let's do the best with it that we can.